As Mrs. Bridget Nettleton slowly slipped further into insanity, locked away alone with nothing but her mind to keep her company, the darkness of the Canary Button Company continued to spread its darkness to the surrounding areas like a flu can spread through a community, from person to person, without notice until it's everywhere. Josephine Hills, once a bustling location, would become over time a place where nothing much good ever happened. The area around the plant would fall into disrepair, and over the years the one-time beautiful condos and apartments slowly made their transformation into slums and abandoned buildings. All the while the Canary Button Company sat and watched its handiwork. In 1973, the factory, which once employed nearly 300 people on the production floors and 100 in the offices above them, had dwindled to the state where only 210 people worked in production, and the offices upstairs sat mainly empty, but for a few members of management scattered across the building. Miranda Stevens became the rightful legal owner of the plant after settling up several outstanding loans to the local bank, whom had fronted money to the Nettletons before the events that had unfolded. She was a rude, vile woman who would much rather belittle her employees than offer any sense of decency. The plant was failing, and employee morale was at an all-time low when she came on board, and she showed no signs of ever doing anything other than draining every dollar she could from the accounts of the plant and the items within its walls. In 1976, the East Wing, where once over 10,000 cufflinks a day were processed through orders, was closed with no warning whatsoever to the employees. Management, led by Stevens, called everyone to a meeting near the shipping department. Lies were told, excuses were made, and blame was pointed at none other than the employees standing before their obvious rulers. The employees of the East Wing were moved into other areas in the plant, and although many were upset, little was done to address any of their concerns. Jeff Davis, a maintenance man who kept machines running and specialized in machinery from the East Wing, was an alcoholic, whom had more than one time been in trouble with the law. Although he had showed up every day, he began to miss days shortly after the merger of the East Wing and the main building, which drew the attention of management to the point that there were several verbal confrontations on the production floor. Eventually he was fired and removed from the property by security. December of 1977, he was caught breaking into the East Wing via a maintenance door on the far side of the plant. Cops, alerted by a phone call from a concerned neighbor, found him with 2 gym bags and an 8-year-old unconscious girl. He resisted arrest and attempted to flee the scene. Jeff Davis was eventually shot and captured by the arresting officers. The girl's name never made the news, but her story surely did. Davis had lured her from her driveway and led her to the plant, telling her multiple times about the friends he had that wanted to meet her. When she declined, he lured her further with candy and promises of toys and excitement. Ultimately, the candy would be her downfall. In the following investigation, the officers found the remains of 6 young girls in the basement, maintenance storage area of the East Wing. He had been kidnapping, sexually assaulting, and killing young girls for more than 3 years, and no one had ever noticed. The authorities figured that he had been killing well before the closing of the East Wing and had hidden the fact by sneaking his victims into the basement storage area. The trial made national news and shook the community for months. For such a vile act to go unnoticed amongst such a large portion of people's everyday lives seemed like an impossibility, but he had succeeded in hiding his crimes. The court's records were locked due to the children's ages and the family's requests, but a few things from the case did slip through the cracks and found their way into the local newspaper. 2 of the girls were twin sisters. All 6 girls had had their eyes removed and buttons placed into their sockets before their actual deaths, and a single quote from the surviving girl's testimony: "There are other little girls there that want to meet you and play with you, and the shadow men think you will all get along perfectly." Jeff Davis was sentenced to death for his crimes and would meet his end long before his scheduled trip with the Reaper. Guards leaked information at the state prison, and inmates paid retribution for the fallen girls and their families. The day his death was announced, people placed flowers outside the main entrance of the Canary Button Company. They marked not only the end of the horrific story of Jeff Davis the murderer, hidden in plain sight, but also the last days of Miranda Stevens as the owner of the company. 2 days later, she was found having taken her own life after being questioned by authorities for embezzling funds and fraudulent applications of loans in the name of the company. The Canary Button Company sits silently as the flowers at the entrance wilt and then fade away, searching the horizon for the next leader of its cause, everything surrounding it soaked in the darkness once hidden within its walls. The sun sets again on the plant, but the evil within never sleeps.